Hey everyone, AngerBus27 here. Right now, we're going to be talking about the top 10 worst kids shows. The previous one I did was actually based on opinion. This one is going to be based on facts, and I am not kidding. This one's going to be based on facts. And let me tell you, there is one show on this list that there are many shows on this list that makes Caillou seem like a walk in the park. But Caillou is definitely on this list. And closer to the top as well. And I'm not kidding around. Number 10, Teletubbies. Teletubbies was a British live-action show that ran on PBS here in the United States from the late 90s into the early 2000s. Many people complained that the show was completely creepy and out of context. I loved that show when I was a kid. And in fact, I was actually dipsy for Halloween when I was like 3 years old. However, my parents hated that show, and I can see why. Many people thought it was creepy, myself included nowadays, and there was actually many conspiracy theories, including the fact that Tinky Winky was holding a purse, which made this far-right conspiracy religious nutjob think he was gay, and there was another conspiracy theory about the Sun Baby getting arrested for drunk driving, and not only that, there was actually another theory that I found out. It's not a theory, but it's the end credits. When they say bye-bye, they say it not once, but 3 times. The first time in a jokingly fashion. The second time as they're jumping into their stupid rabbit hole. The third time as they're, as the end credits are rolling. And what's creepy is that the end credits are rolling at the bottom of the screen sideways instead of down or up or changing in a regular fashion. In my opinion, I thought, is this the only show that does that? Like, they're doing it like CNN or Fox News would do whenever they add, like, additional news that is not really relative or important. Yeah, in my opinion, that's totally creepy. Number 9, Fanboy and Chum. Fanboy and Chum is an American CGI animated television series that ran on Nickelodeon between 2009 through 2014. Many people believe the show was horrible. Parents complained about how annoying it was. And oh yeah, it was a big disaster despite running for 5 years. And those were 5 years of terror, in my opinion. I mean, I used to call it Fat Boy and Chum when it first came out. And I realized it was called Fanboy and Chum. I don't know why they did that. But in my opinion, it's completely out of context. This show was horrible. And I recommend nobody watch it. I'm glad it's over, and I hope it never comes back. Number 8, JJ the Jet Plane. JJ the Jet Plane was an American animated live-action television series that ran from the late 90s into the early 2000s. The main complaint is that it was very creepy, and I can assure you, I agree, it's creepy. Where the fuck are the cockpits? They didn't even put them in there. And it's like, oh yeah, instead they put faces, it's like they're flying on their own. That's creepy. It's like, are they drones or something? That's a question I would like to know. And let me tell you, the faces were as creepy as fuck. Not only that, what takes it to a whole nother level, Kansas City's PBS station refused to air it post 9/11. No, I'm not kidding around. Actually, in my opinion, I think other PBS stations should have done the same thing. Number 7, Doodlebops. Doodlebops was a Canadian live-action television series that ran on Playhouse Disney here in the US in the mid-2000s. Many people complained that the show was completely odd, very repetitive, and of course, the costumes were as creepy as fuck. I can assure you, creepy is taken to a whole nother level in this show. It's like, it's repetitive, it all starts in one location, it ends with a concert. Say what now? It's probably, I have to say, one of the worst shows on television in my opinion. Number 6, Peppa Pig. Peppa Pig is a British animated television series that's still on to this day. It's on Nick Jr. This show is a pain in the ass. Many people complain that the animation is just horrible, way too childish, and whenever the characters cry, oh my god, it is completely strange looking. You'll see in the next frame of what I'm talking about. Now, yeah, you'll see that there is just the tears look like lines that are just coming out of their faces. And I'm like, say, what? Come on, that's creepy. At first, I thought the show was a fan-made show made by some YouTube content creator. Turns out it's anything but that. This is a show that has terrible animation. Yes, and I forgot to mention, American kids are suddenly getting British accents. Number 5, Max and Ruby. Max and Ruby is a Canadian animated television series that ran on Nick Jr. from 2002 through 2021. It was only canceled 2 years ago. This show was just completely out of context. It was repetitive, annoying, and it takes annoying to a whole new level when Max is always not obeying Ruby's commands. Oh yeah, that's kind of creepy. And whoever created the show, I'm giving that person a thumbs down because this show sucked like shit. And the theme was bad. I forgot to mention that. Number 4, Booba. Booba is a British live-action or animated television series that ran on PBS for 2 seasons. It was actually made by the people who made Teletubbies, so at first everyone thought it was going to be a success, but it turned out it was a flop. The main complaint is that kids were scared, and their parents were annoyed, and also scared. And let me tell you, I was scared as fuck. Even though this show was actually made for a good cause to help kids lose fat, let me tell you, it did not help. Number 3, Barney and Friends. Barney and Friends was an American live-action television series that ran from the late 1980s to 2011. I actually, liked that show when I was a kid until some guy, started harassing me about it. I can assure you, this show was literally something that many parents hated. From the theme to the I love you, you love me at the very end. Actually, speaking of which, I saw this documentary called I Love You, You Hate Me, which exposes the dark side to that show. And I'm not kidding. There was a dark side to the show. And another fun fact, the creator's son got arrested for attempted murder. And no, I'm not kidding. Oh yeah, also forgot to mention, look at Mattel's, new version of it. Looks creepier. Number 2, Caillou. Caillou is a Canadian animated television series that ran on PBS until 2021. It was canceled. Yeah, it was actually canceled in 2011, but it was pulled off the air in 2021. Many people say it was canceled in 2021. It was canceled 13 years ago. This show was pathetic. It was encouraging kids that throwing temper tantrums was okay. Not only that, the show's protagonist was a spoiled, whiny brat and abusing his little sister and just like an abusive boyfriend for that matter. Yeah, glad that show's over. This show, in my opinion, was one of the worst shows on TV. And not to mention the bald head, even though he didn't have cancer, I bet it was a slap in the face for those who did have cancer. Number 1, last but not least, Dora the Explorer. Dora the Explorer is an American animated television series that ran from the late 90s into 2014. This show was repetitive, annoying, and, of course, just cringy. I mean, from, the theme song to the horrible distaste and, them going from one waypoint to the next. It was almost as repetitive as Phineas and Ferb, except Phineas and Ferb was not always repetitive. And oh yeah, the fox always tried to steal things. And why didn't the fox get arrested? Oh yeah, because it's a cartoon for kids. That's why. Hey, here's a fun fact. I actually saw the voice of Dora the Explorer from the first few seasons at the Fan Expo in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And even though I didn't meet her, I did see her in person. While I was there, I actually met the voice of Ariel from The Little Mermaid. That would be Jodie Benson. And I also met Tara Strong, who voiced Melody in The Little Mermaid 2. And Timmy Turner from the Fairly Odd Parents, and Bubbles from the Powerpuff Girls. Anyway, that was my top 10 worst kids show list. Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Don't forget to check out our Facebook and Twitter pages, which are the links in the description below. And you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. And don't forget to check out all of our other videos on this channel. Thank you, and have a great day.